Therefore, a seeming division occurs, and he underlines seeming. And the reason is, he wants us to understand that we can become aware of this as we evolve, as our mind grows, as we become better at it, as we become more in tune with the inner self, if we choose to consciously connect up with the inner self. Many different solutions. The division occurs because we're so young in developing our mind, our conscious mind, okay? Therefore, a seeming division occurs in which a portion of the invisible conscious mind is connected with the physical brain, and a portion of it is free of that connection. That latter part forms what you think of as the involuntary system of the body. Okay. So again, what he's trying to explain is, for example, in anatomy and physiology, you will learn you have your involuntary muscles, your involuntary system of the body. And that is what he's talking about, that has to basically do almost everything except the part that the conscious mind does, which is very little compared to what the rest of the body is doing. However, it's also a monumental achievement, because we couldn't be doing what we're doing if the other part of our body wasn't doing what it was doing. And it's a massive amount of cooperation. However, for us to take credit for it all is a little bit much. Okay. So what he's saying is there's these different divisions of the self. So far now, he's talked about our conscious mind, which is me speaking right now. The involuntary system, which is another part of the conscious mind, which takes care of all the other intricate aspects to keep the body functioning healthy. And then a huge another portion called the inner self, which is the other part of the conscious mind, which is aware of many other aspects that we really haven't gotten into yet. The next paragraph starts off with again, and it says, again, it is important that you realize the initial non-physical reaction to stimuli that sparks off all physical reactions. All right? Now, I personally don't understand why he's emphasizing it, but he is saying, look, it's important that you realize that the initial non-physical reaction to stimuli, that's what sparks off all the physical reactions. And I think what he's trying to do is to say that we have to be clear that the inner aspects that are going on are just as or more important than the part that we are aware of. Okay? He says there is a constant interplay and communication between the areas of consciousness that are connected to the brain and those that are not. Okay, so there he said there's a constant interplay, meaning there's all these connections and bridges between now the conscious mind and the involuntary system and the deeper inner self. And then he says the deeper purposes of the consciousness involved circulate, sometimes arising in the awareness that is joined with the brain. Information coming from those deeper sources of the self, reaching the areas connected to the brain, will be interpreted according to the beliefs of that most physically focused segment of the self. Did you catch that? How important that sentence is? So we can have these wonderful aspects that we're supposed to learn in life, but if our conscious mind is not open enough, we may miss them. The other part is, he says, no matter what, it still has to be interpreted through the beliefs that we have in our conscious mind, okay? Then he goes on to say, to some degree, such inner data will be colored by the current beliefs of that part of the self most directly confronting the physical world. Those beliefs, however, are also constantly being examined by the inner self. And what he's saying there is, again, these large aspects of ourself that circulate through the inner self and then through the conscious mind, when they go through us, they're colored by our beliefs. Okay. However, at the same time, the inner self is paying attention to what our beliefs are and examining those, and will give us messages in order to help us based on what the bigger aspects are that we basically are sometimes aware of, sometimes not aware of, including our challenges that we're supposed to work out while we're alive. Now, is there any way, maybe from your point of view, either of you, that you can take what you heard and tell me what you think is going to be the most important part for us to remember out of that?
Well, let me give it some thought.
Yeah, I know. He's talking about we have a conscious part and an inner self, and that it's important for us to know that there's much more going on all the time that's still a part of us that we're just not aware of.
Well, it seemed to me that our inner self is aware of everything.
It is.
And then whatever our beliefs are determine whether or not it comes to our conscious mind or not.
Right, and how it's interpreted.
Right.
So, for example, the inner self, do you have a question?
No, I was going to say something.
Good, go ahead.
So, our beliefs channel our inner self?
Right. See, that's why I love you in these sessions. So, our beliefs channel our inner self. That's it. That's what we need to capture here. We need to understand. That's why our beliefs are so important. Our inner self may be aware of all these wonderful things that, hey, hello, don't do that, or hello, this is better this way, but our beliefs are channeling what gets through.
Well, our beliefs channel our inner self to allow it to be brought to the conscious mind or something.
Right.
But if we already know that our beliefs is what determines what our conscious mind is aware of, then channeling it would be the same thing as saying that, just with less words.
Well, it's like you have your inner self, you have your beliefs, and then you have a conscious mind on top. So it's like the beliefs is like a funnel that the messages from the inner self goes through to get to the conscious mind.
Okay, and I wanted to change the word channel because it's so loaded these days, as if it's a medium channels something through a trance, and I don't want to turn people off. So let's use the word filter. So, how did you say it, Maddie?
My beliefs filter my inner self.
Okay, so that's true, but then it sort of loses a little bit of it.
To the conscious mind.
Yeah, my beliefs filter.
Information
my beliefs filter my inner self's communication.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Is that okay to
Yeah.
end on that word?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So my beliefs filter my inner self's communication. My beliefs selves, and that'd be apostrophe S. Communication is, I'm really don't remember the rule on whether the apostrophe would go before or after.
I would think it would go after because it's talking about yourself.
It's possessive.
But then,
My inner
because
self communications or inner self's communication?
But so you have, when you're talking about your inner selves, are you saying that it's plural? There's
No.
more than one inner selves? Because that's the apostrophe before the S. The apostrophe after the S is showing that it's possession of your inner self.
All right, let's put the apostrophe after the S.
Well, I think plural of selves, I mean, plural of self is selves, S-E-L-V-E-S, is plural of self.
Then we wouldn't have an apostrophe.
Right.
But the whole point is to show the communication is connected to the self.
Right, so it would be,
Let's change it. My beliefs filter communication from my inner self.
oh, my beliefs filter communication.
From my inner self.
Well, that sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
My beliefs filter communication from my inner self. Now, what is today's date?
The 25th.
April 25th, NPR, Chapter 5, Session 626. Do you know this is the end of that session? So we'll start a new chapter next week. Anybody have any questions? All right. Dear Lord, thank you for this time and these moments. And thank you for bringing people who truly care to communicate in a nice way together, caring way. Because we're not only helping us learn, we're beginning to help others learn. And that's a good example of how to cooperate and concur